What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about the newest Paul Schrader film, Master Gardener, and I'm actually relatively unfamiliar with Paul Schrader's work. The only other Paul Schrader film I have seen is First Reformed, that was put out by A24, and I thought that movie was phenomenal. I thought Ethan Hawke's performance was great. I really loved the slow-paced narrative structure that really was building on this character to blow up into the wildest third act punch that you could ever imagine, and it was a really enjoyable experience. It's a movie I think about a lot, and I've just never gone in and watched any more of Paul Schrader's work, and I'm not 100% why, but I was really looking forward to this movie, and I didn't even watch a trailer for it. I wanted to go in as blindly as possible, and I'm really looking forward to talking about this movie today. Master Gardener is directed by Paul Schrader. Narvel Roth is a meticulous horticulturalist who is devoted to tending to the grounds of a beautiful estate and pandering to his employee, the wealthy dowager Mrs. Haverhill, when she demands that he takes on her wayward and troubled great niece. It unlocks dark secrets from a buried, violent past. So, as I said, didn't really know anything about this movie when I went into it, and I thought this thing was fantastic. I really enjoyed it a lot. It's very simplistic. It's a very slower paced narrative. It's a lot about the character building. It's a lot about the small character interactions, but that's what I think makes Paul Schrader's films so great. And I just want to say, I really enjoyed this film. I liked it a lot. When I go into talking about it here, it's really hard to talk about all the nuance in it without giving away, I guess, the spoiler of the movie about what it is about. So if you don't want to know anything about it, period, just go watch it because it's fantastic. But I'm going to get into it a little bit more now. So, Narvel, our lead character, the Master Gardener, is played by Joel Edgerton, who gives a brilliant performance in this film. And we're shown early on in the movie, he's writing in this journal, he's talking all about the nuances in growing specific plants and researching the kind of dirt that you need to grow. And he's in charge of this huge property that grows all these different types of plants. And it is led up by Sigourney Weaver's character, and she is very wealthy. She runs the entire estate, and it's shown early on that the two of them have a relationship together. I don't feel like Joel Edgerton's character is super into it. It seems more like he's appeasing to her so that he can stay on the staff or to just keep her happy. It doesn't seem like there's anything more there. Well, early on in the film, Sigourney Weaver's character tells Joel Edgerton's character that her great niece, who is troubled and is going through a lot, is going to come stay with them, and that maybe he can kind of take her on as an apprentice. And her character's name is Maya, played by Quintessa Swindell, who also gives a fantastic performance in this film. And he says, yes, absolutely, I'll bring her on. And so the two of these characters are introduced together, and he's very kind to her. He's training her how to take care of these flowers and slowly finding more out about her life. Well, very early on in the film, we see him get undressed at the beginning of the movie, and he has all of these swastika white pride tattoos all down his body. And we find out that he was a neo-Nazi that is now under protection from the Witness Protection Program after this leader of the neo-Nazi group tried to put a hit out on this minister and his family, and he refused to kill the minister's family. And so he ratted all of them out and managed to get under Witness Protection Program and is seemingly trying to change his life around. And so the movie is the relationship between his character and Quintessa Swindell's character, Maya, and the two of them getting to know each other better. And this whole overwhelming question of, like, can the most heinous, awful, terrible things a person do be forgiven, and can they become better people? And I think that's very similar in First Reformed, and I know that this has been called part of a kind of like a trilogy for Schrader, where like it's not like the movies are necessarily connected other than semi-thematically. His first film, The Card Counter, in the trilogy with Oscar Isaac, which I have not seen. Then you have First Reformed, and then you have this. And First Reformed was a story of a minister whose faith is being challenged, and there's a lot of that in the movie. These ideas of environmental activism in there, and the movie kind of just keeps your brain going all over the place. And that's very similar to Master Gardener, because obviously this one's a lot more simple than First Reformed. I feel like First Reformed gets very deep, very psychological, very heady. This movie is very straightforward in this idea of, can bad things be redeemable? And you have this person who, by all accounts, has expressed that he was brought into this hateful lifestyle from a very young age, and that his parents told him that he had to hate and that he had to be a bad person and that he didn't know any better, and that in growing up that he is trying to be a better person and trying to leave that lifestyle behind. And coming into contact with Maya's character, who is an African American woman, it's really interesting to see the two of them play off each other and how both characters are damaged in a very, very different way. Maya's character is dealing with drugs. She's addicted to drugs, spends a lot of time with these drug dealers, jumping from house to house, and her life is kind of getting to a point where she falls apart. And there's this really beautiful, tender moment in the film between the two characters where Joel Edgerton takes her to a hotel and kind of helps her kick the drugs out of her system. And I think it's showing that, you know, in Paul Schrader's mind, that even the worst people can try to get better if they really want to get better. And I think, you know, living in a society that we do now where it's so easy to see a person's actions as completely and totally irredeemable if they do something wrong, and like, human beings by nature are flawed and they're very capable of making mistakes, they're very capable of doing bad things, but it's all about how you can get over that and do something better or try to be a better person. And that's not to say that all actions are excusable, because that's not the truth. There are things people do that are absolutely horrible, and you don't have to forgive people for bad things that they do, but I don't think that that necessarily makes people completely irredeemable. And I think in Paul Schrader's eyes, looking at that whole thing being a large part of our culture right now, I think that this movie was taking something as extreme as neo-Nazism and just the hatred and the horrible things that neo-Nazis do in our society and how terrible they treat people and the violence that they enact and the hatred that they keep fueling in our country right now. It was really interesting to see him try to give that character a redemptive arc where it seems like they already know what they were doing was wrong, and now they're just trying to spend their life not being like that anymore. And I thought that was a really interesting idea, and paralleling it with this younger person who is going through some really deep internal struggles with drug addiction, and like, there's a little bit open-ended questions as to like what kind of led her to get there and what kind of pushed her in that direction. But I think it was interesting bringing two seemingly damaged characters that are damaged in very different ways together, and where they could kind of build each other up. And I thought the dialogue was really well written. It was very interesting to watch. The cinematography was great. As simplistic as it was very engaging. It was very easy to stay connected to the story and to these characters. I was not expecting a lot of the things that happened in the movie, and it's not like a super high stakes, intense, high octane movie. It's very simplistic. It's all about these character interactions and performances, and I think the three lead performers are all great in this movie. And there's moments that don't necessarily work as well for me, but I think if you're a fan of First Reformed and Paul Schrader's work, you're going to really enjoy this. Or if you're a fan of small-scale, intimate character dramas, I think you'll really like this movie a lot. So have you seen Master Gardener? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was great. I really enjoyed the performances. I thought Joel Edgerton was fantastic. I thought Quintessa Swindell was fantastic. It was just a really engaging experience that I enjoyed watching. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.